Welcome back to this lecture. So in this lecture, we are going to build the expense tracker application. So let me show you the first application that we are going to build in this particular lecture. So this is the final application that we are going to build in this whole lecture. So you can see we have this heading expense tracker, then we have this label which actually display the total expenses, then we have a button. So if I click on this add expense button, then you can see we have this alert message box appearing. So inside of that, first we need to add the enter expense description. So if I enter here like drinks, and if I hit like OK, and then we need to add the amount. This is our next alert box that has the enter expense amount. So inside of that, we need to add the amount of the expense. So if I enter here 10, then you can see we have this list, and also our total expense variable value is also changed. Means this is actually a variable, means this particular label value is updated. And we also have this nice white list that has this close button. So if I click on this close, then you can see the expense list is actually removed. And if I again click on it, and then we can add here like food. If I hit OK, then we need to add the amount, that is $50. And if I again enter here like fruits, we have spent some time on fruits, and then we need to add the another which is like $40, or I can say 70, just a random value I want to add. Then you can see this list is actually maintained. So once this expense, you can calculate it how much like groceries you have built, you can track that. So this is the application we are going to build. The main idea is to actually learn how to build this UI and also add this list functionality. And later on in this course, we will also build some advanced features of this application as well. So our first step is to start with the HTML part of the project. So here you can see inside of the Visual Studio Code, I have created 3 files. The first is the index.html, the second is the style.css, the third one is the script.js file. So let me click on this Explorer button so that we have this nice work area, and also I'm going to minimize it, and I'm going to select my Chrome browser, and just I'm going to launch the application, which is the HTML part, this one. So if I click on go live, then we will definitely see a new tab. So it's actually starting here, and so you can see this is our application is now working. So if I enter here like h1 element expense, if I save, then we will see the expense tracker. So I can show you the output while typing the HTML and CSS code as well, because this is the best way to actually display the working line of the code. Okay, so now the first thing is we need to create the expense tracker container that has all the elements. So all of this is actually wrapped inside the expense tracker container. So we want to do that thing first. And then if I hit a tab key, then we get actually I have to specify here a dot as well. So if I press a tab key, then we can see we get the expense tracker, but we didn't get the class name. So I'm just going to cut it. I didn't take the class name. So now this is our class expense tracker. So inside of that, I have to add first the another div. So I'm going to type it here expense like header. If I enter now at this point of time, the Emmet plugin works perfectly. So inside of the first, this grab this h1 element, and I'm going to put it inside the, and let's change this to h2. Okay, and also its closing tag. So now it's become a little bit small. That is because we have used here a h2 heading. So our next step is we need to place the button, because these all are actually appearing in the single row, or I can say that the line. So here we will be using the button. Then we need to specify the class to this button, which will be fetched inside the HTML and also used for the styling the CSS part. And then I actually named the class as add expense ptn, and inside of that we need to add the text add expense. Okay, so now this is actually done. After that we need to add another, which is to actually display this list. So for that we need to add an empty div element. So I'm again here typing the expense, and then I will be adding expense list. So this will remain the empty because this will be used to display the list. And then we need to add this label, or I can say that the h3 tag, or this will actually display the like total expense amount. Okay, so for that again we need to create the another div of the class total expense on total, and if I press a tab key then we get this div. Inside of that I will be using the h3 element, so it's going to have a heading total expense, and then this is going to like $0, which will display the result 0 at the initial part. Alright, so that is for the HTML elements part. We have added this main container, so let me first actually do what actually this is ended like here. This is div, so this div is actually closing at the end, so I have done one mistake, because everything will be reside inside the, because this will be the parent. So let me first indent it properly. Okay, so everything is indented. All these three divs are actually child of this expense tracker, and then all of them has two elements. This one has one, this one is empty element because it doesn't have. We are going to display the list manually by using the JavaScript code. If I control save it, then the output will remain the same. So our next step is to add the CSS part to this expense tracker application.